Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Run It Back, the show we try to get things right the second time. In today's episode, Bloomborough is in full swing. Best of three is back on Arena, and we had an opportunity to go ahead and take the absolute nuts deck last night. Go ahead and watch all the way to the end because the deck we draft today is pretty ballistic. Let's dive into it now. Opening pack one, pick one. There's a lot of great cards that I love here. Big fan of this Persistent Marshstalker. Love the Long River Lurker. Kidnap, obviously very good. Even this Agate Blade Assassin and the Moonrise Cleric. Lots of good role players here, but we went just with the biggest power. The Starseer Mentor is the most powerful card in the pack. 3/5 is a very good stat line. Flying and Vigilance, very good keywords. And then, of course, the extra bit if you gain or lost life. It just happens to be a little bit of gravy. The other card that I would look at is this Longstock Brawl because it's single colored. Obviously, any of the other uncommons are very good. I think I'd probably be a little low on Mabel's Metal because mice have been a little down for me. But we start with this one because we had just gotten off of like a green pile, so I figured maybe let's see if we can get some bats going. In pack one, pick two, this is a very interesting pick. I had this Bandits talent, which I have been very proud of, very happy with. There's also a Saver down here, a Nocturnal Hunger, this Agate Blade Assassin, even though his Lizard plays really well with bats. We also see a Burrow Guard Mentor, Head of the Homestead, just lots and lots of really, really good cards. We ended up going with the removal spell because I thought this would be something that we could lose life with in order to trigger this if we gain or lost life. We could use this on our turn, get 2 triggers, and kind of work out that way. Bandit's talent was something we were hoping to wheel. Pack 1, pick 3, we see a Brightblade Stoat, which is a fantastic white creature. Even though it technically is not going to be a rabbit or a bat or something like that, this is an honorary in any deck. The life gain is incredible. The first strike is incredible. It works great with pump spells and mice. Like, just in general, this card is awesome. A Patchwork Banner is another card that I want in just about every deck because the Anthem is incredible, especially if you have 6 to 8 or more of your chosen type. And then, of course, the mana, getting to 5 mana earlier, that is always a big deal. Again, we see another Agate Blade Assassin, so we're hoping at least one of these 3 wheels. Other than that, Dire Sight I haven't been a big fan of. Tangled Tumbler not a big fan of. A couple of other okay cards, but the 2 that really stick out are Patchwork Banner and Brightblade Stoat. We stuck with the Stoat because we thought that would end up triggering well in our Bats deck that we're looking at. Pack 1, pick 4, we see a Fountain Port, which is great. This card is pretty much a free chump blocker, and it essentially reduces any one attacker that doesn't have trample down to 1 damage by paying 1 life, creating a fish, and then chump blocking with said fish. That did come up in one of our matches. If they are not pressuring you, then you get to make treasure tokens, or you can sacrifice food tokens, or whatever it is to end up drawing cards. This card goes long, goes hard. Like it very much does everything I want to do in the format. Daring Wave Rider is a fantastic card. Really been high on that one. And then Pawn Prophet apparently is having lots of good early on sort of results. Looking at this Waxwing Witness, this sort of is like the finisher in one of our Bats decks, so not a bad idea to pick something like this up, but I think we can end up grabbing one of these a little bit later. Finally, an Uncharted Haven is always a good call out. Pack 1, pick 5. Little low on this pack, wasn't a big fan of. Into the Flood Maw might be one of the best cards just because it's single blue. Also, we see a Seed Pod Squire, which kind of fits into the Bat deck. But we stuck with Starlit Soothsayer because we thought that we'd end up losing life or gaining life. So the Surveil was fine. If we end up getting any sort of Lord to pump all of our bats, this one being a bat is a big deal. Pack 1, pick 6, we got a Moonstar Harbinger, which was an incredible pickup. This told me, all right, bats are open. This is a Lord for your bats. All you need to do is gain or lose life at least once within the turn. And so even if we do something with First Strike with Blightblade Stoat, or we lose life with our Nocturnal Hunger, then all of our bats get 1-0, and Death Touch means that things get pretty nuts pretty quickly. Pack 1, pick 7, we see a Warren Elder, which is a rabbit card, but I do think it plays really well in bats or any white deck. Just 4 mana creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn, pumping the squad. Obviously, best in rabbits as they go very wide, but in general, this is a good card. Could also see the Uncharted Haven in the background just in case we wanted to splash something. Pack 1, pick 8, we see a Parting Gust, which is a fantastic removal spell. Essentially turns any creature into a tapped fish. Otherwise, if we want to blink our own creature and get it back at end step, that can also be very powerful. I've been a big fan of this Ravine Raider, particularly more so in lizards and things that you want to end up dealing damage to your opponent. So not bad there. This would be a fine pickup. And then Nettle Guard also being very good recently. Just 2 mana, 3/1. I don't really care about that. It gets +0/+2 very often, but destroying artifact or enchantment very relevant when it is relevant. It's not often, but sometimes Patchwork Banners, Oblivion Rings, this is a big deal for those. Back when pick 9, we did end up getting this Agate Blade Assassin on the wheel. We could look at a Moonrise Cleric. Both of them are very good. The Moonrise Cleric being a bat is relevant, but the Agate Blade Assassin being a 2-drop is bigger. Gaining a life, opponent losing a life, and then even if it gets blocked or whatever, you still sort of get the trigger down. I think the 2-drop focus here is the important part. Pack 1, pick 10, we got a second Agate Blade Assassin, so maybe this means that we should have taken the Moonrise Cleric here because we thought we might get one here, and then we even could have seen one in pack 1, pick 11, but we did not. So we pick up a second Agate Blade Assassin, we pick up a Dire Sight, and then a couple of cards to finish out a pack. Moving on to pack 2, pick 1, we see a Wren, which is a very good rat. It's not something I think I want to do a lot of splashing amongst bats, especially because we see Star Charter here, which is going to be your card advantage engine within bats. This is something that if you've gained or lost life this turn, then you get to look at the top 4 cards and get a creature with power 3 or less. Funnily enough, that's all of our creatures currently, so I'm not really worried about hitting anything. So Star Charter, a great pickup. Pack 2, pick 2, if we see 1 Star Charter, that's great. The only downside is this Starscape Cleric plays really well as well. So we're kind of hoping that we can peck this and then maybe wheel something like this. This is a good one, but it's really only good in bats. So Star Charter is great pretty much all the time because it looks at all kinds of cards. Plus it's a 3/1 flyer, which is good. This Starscape Cleric doesn't block. It does attack, so maybe it plays well in lizards, but if you're not really gaining life, it doesn't have as much effect. So we're hoping to wheel this Starscape Cleric as we move on. Pack 2, pick 3, we do see a Saver. We also see this Waxwing Witness and the Glide Dive Duo. I love all of these cards, but I was a little concerned about our early aggression. Obviously, we have a Parting Gust, but leaving a Fish isn't great. Plus, having double white on turn 2 isn't huge. And then we have this Nocturnal Hunger, but we needed something to stave off like mice or early rabbit draws, so this Saver, I think, was going to be kind of big. Pack 2, pick 4, Stargaze was not really it for me. Fountain Port Bell, maybe. The Cutthroat, maybe. But just taking this Mudflat Village, end up returning a Bat, Lizard, Rat, or Squirrel from your graveyard to hand is big. This actually won us a couple games as we were able to draw something back and then gain life enough to use our bats we don't have yet in order to trigger lethal. Pack 2, pick 5, we do see a Life Creed Duo. This is the bread and butter bat of the entire bat deck. Whenever another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. Triggers all of your I gained a life this turn synergies. Also triggers which one is this? This Moonstone Harbinger. Just by playing a creature, this card is integral to the bats deck. Pack 2, pick 6, we see a Scales of Shale. Mainly just because there's not a whole lot else in the pack. I'm not taking this bird. There's a lot of good blue and red cards here for like the Otters and Lizards deck. But this one, gaining life is kind of a big deal. Indestructible is kind of a big deal. I don't really want to pay 3 mana for it, so I probably am not playing this. But it's definitely a playable card. Pack 2, pick 7, we see another Nilfgaard. We have both the black and white lands, which I considered, but I don't really want to play more than 1 or 2 of these. Plus, we already have the Fountain Port, so I didn't think we needed more value out of our mana base, and having additional artifact or enchantment hate felt good. Pack 2, pick 8, we see a Cindering Cutthroat. This card is generally good. It's much better in Lizards, but even here, if we're going to attack with an Agate Blade Assassin that we have, a 3-mana 4/3 plays very well in the format. It does trade down a little bit, other like 3/2s and that kind of stuff traded, but it also trades up very well. There's a 4/4 for 4 that trades into this one very well. Pack 2, pick 9, we see a Psychic Whirl here, which was very possible as an option. I do like Mind Rot in this format, obviously better in Rats. And then, of course, Uncharted Haven, just an easy way to go into Pack 3 with a splash possible. Pack 2, pick 10, we did see the Starscape Cleric Wheel, which was incredible. This is the card that we ended up getting something back with Mudflat. And then, of course, you Life Creed Duo. Every time Life Creed Duo triggers, then this thing triggers. We were able to cast it with Offspring multiple times. This card is pretty nuts. Glide Dive Duo is the perfect 5-drop for the deck, you know, getting in here, triggering any sort of Life Creed Duos, but then also triggering all of our life gain strategies on its own. Card was super busted. A Cindering Cutthroat, which I don't think we're playing, and then we end up with a Plume Creed Mentor, which is definitely worth a splash. We have lots of flying creatures, so this would be something to keep an eye on if we get other good blue cards. Pack 3, pick 1, we see a Valley Quest Caller. I mean, this card is nuts. All of the callers are first pickable. This one cares about rabbits, bats, birds, and mice, and funnily enough, we have lots of bats. So it's an anthem for them. Whenever something comes in, it scries. It's super, super good. Looking on the wheel, we're looking at maybe another Nocturnal Hunger if we can maybe get there. Otherwise, Crumb and Get It seems to be pretty good in the format. 2/2 is lots of stats for a single mana, so we'll look at those two cards, seeing if they can come back around. Pack 3, pick 2. I really thought about picking this Kostrel and then also end up splashing that alongside with the Plume Creed Mentor because I do think Kostrel is good. Plus, we have things like the Life Creed Duo, which is technically also a bird, so that'd be something I would look into. However, Thoughtstalker Warlock just plays really, really well. It's a very strong card. Plays well with both the Stoat, the Duo, even Nettleguard attacks well into it. Like, there's all these things that we can end up dealing a damage early on turn 2, so that way we can end up getting in with turn 3 with Thoughtseize effect. Pack 3, pick 3, we saw a second Moonstone Harbinger. We do see things like a Hunter's Talent still around, which is like very good for that. I've also been big on this Heirloom Epic, but because we had the Fountain Port, I wasn't really necessary on that Heirloom Epic, so we just took the aggressive strategy. Notably, this says this ability only triggers once per turn, but that's per interest of Moonstone Harbinger. So if I have both of my Harbingers out, I gain a singular life. Everybody gets +2/+0 and Death Touch. Pack 3, pick 4, this Hazel's Nocturne. I think this card is extremely good in both lizards and bats. The dealing 2 damage to your opponent, the gaining 2 life on yourself, the double raised at instant speed, everything just works. This is exactly the sort of card that I want in my bats or lizards deck. Ruthless Negotiation also plays well in bats, but mostly plays better in things like squirrels and rats. So definitely a thought here, but not something I want to be doing. Last thing is, if we were end up splashing blue, then this 3-tree mascot is a bat. It is a bird. It counts for everything, but then also helps fix for your Kostrel and other cards. But we didn't take those, so we didn't need it. Hazel's Nocturne, great card. Pack 3, pick 5. I thought about maybe taking a Psychic Whirl, but the odds of us having 2 creatures in our graveyard was much higher than our opponent having 2 cards in hand later in the game. The other thing about this is a sorcery speed. This is an instant. I like playing more so instant speed. The life gain is relevant. Like, everything just sort of, again, works for this card. Big fan of Hazel's Nocturne. We see a Starscape Cleric coming through. We did see another Waxwing Witness, and we've passed by 4 of these things now or whatever, but Starscape Cleric just is better. Even though it comes down on turn 2 sometimes, it also comes down on turn 5 for double, and then just, having a Life Creed Duo already in play. You play these things out with the Offspring on turn 5. You drain your opponent for 4 life. Everything just is crazy. Pack 3, pick 7, we see another Starscape Cleric, and this is at this point, I'm like, all right, we have to cover this deck. The deck is nuts. I don't exactly know what the final build looks like at this point, but I know it's going to be absolutely ballistic. Pack 3, pick 8, we did see a Waxwing Witness. We did end up playing this card. It was awesome. It ended up really able to push some damage. Vigilance is huge in the format, so big fan of this one. We see an Agate Blade Assassin, which we're probably not playing the 3rd copy of. We see a Banishing Light or a Sonar Strike. I do think that both of these cards were up for consideration. I like the Sonar Strike quite a bit, but we wanted to be the ones attacking, so I wanted to be on the aggressive sorcery speed sort of front here. Plus, Banishing Light also covers anything else, like if a random Sword of Fire and Ice or something that's not a creature, whereas Sonar Strike only kills creatures with 4 toughness or less. So we picked the Banishing Light just for its flexibility. Pack 3, pick 11, we got a Sonar Strike anyway, so I'm very happy we took the Banishing Light. Then eventually we end up Pleaded Provisioner and finally end up with a Steam Path Charger. Taking a look at the deck here, you can see we are heavy on 2-drops. Very happy to see that. We'll separate out the creatures and we'll notice that we've got 3 Starscape Clerics. Now, most of the time we want to be casting those sort of on 5, but if one of them has to be on 2, we're very happy with that. Otherwise, Valley Quest Caller and Agate Blade Assassin were incredible. On 2, we got the Stoat, Life Creed Duo, just all of our creatures just absolutely synergistic, nuts. Very happy to play. They're either the payoffs, like these 3 over here. They're the enablers, like this duo. They're half of both. Also really, really good stuff. Hazel's Nocturne, like I said, played extremely well. Nocturnal Hunger was really, really powerful because not necessarily to remove creature, obviously that's good, but also losing life in the process really just made things phenomenal. I mean, I can't really fault a single card in the deck. Every card feels like it is absolutely incredible and really happy to be here. We easily cruised to a 3-0, just sort of beating face in the skies. We did get tripped up by one of our fellow AGL members. They took a game off of us in round 2, but overall, cruised to a pretty easy 6-1 victory. If you want to have your draft reviewed on Run It Back, feel free to send me over the link to your 17 lands data of said draft. Happy to put it up on stream. Send it to me in Discord or at runitbackmtg@gmail.com. happy to take a look. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.